Good morning, noon, afternoon, evening, and night to all. Welcome back to ATSCast. This is your neighborhood dude, Jude, your host. And with me, as usual, is the rest of the ATS Heartbeat. So say what's up, Abid?
Gucci gang, what's up everyone? Abid back again. uh, for those who don't know who I am Abid, as prefaced. I am 23 in Toronto, Canada. Kind of cold. I'm a university student, and we chill in pandemic. Yay. Aaron, how about you?
That yay. What's up, guys? Aaron, back at it again. I'm 21. I'm a student in Malaysia, and happy to be back. Jude?
Yes, we're all happy to be back. This is your host, Jude, again, as usual. Student here in LA. I always forget to introduce, but I introduced the cast, so I guess that's good enough. Anyway, this week we'll be looking up, figuratively and literally. And this is inspired by one class I'm taking right now in college, astronomy class, right? And one of the things that I've learned in that class, um, not learned per se, but one of the things that that made me realize about something was that the beauty of looking up, right? Because we always seem to forget that above us there's a lot of things going on that's diluted from like not only light pollution but from the things we do day to day. I never knew that there are so many stars until like recently and like I learned in astronomy. You think thousands, you think millions, but there are literally billions, homie. I'm like, wow. And I guess that's where this culminates to, like an episode on not only stars, but the night sky in general. Imagine, I think a lot of artists have said this, but the sky is literally a canvas. And it's a huge canvas per se, but everything we see in the night sky, um, is dwarfed by the amount of things that we don't see. And I guess that's why there's so much content to talk about. And I feel like the subtopics regarding about the night sky and regarding stars could warrant episodes in themselves, right? For example, astrology. I feel like a lot of people in this cast have been wanting, have a lot of words to say in regards to that,
A
and
bit.
astronomy too.
Yeah, man. Screw them.
And
Screw
astronomy
them,
too.
bro.
But I guess it's a good way to introduce both topics by generalizing everything first and starting from the basics, right? Looking up. Do you guys look up to the sky often?
Yes, okay.
Oh, you do. That was not diction.
Way
Aaron, go.
more than
Well,
I
okay.
probably should,
I
Way
I
more
just
than I
I just
probably
want to
should.
say, like, I
Uh-huh.
love like looking up and like admiring the beauty of what's out there.
Bro, why are you saying that in
Sadly,
an erotic manner, dude?
it's only erotic because
Going
you
on?
made it sound you why you gotta anyway.
Yeah, that's kind of
That's why.
hot, dude.
I sadly enough, here in Malaysia, the skies aren't as clear as I would like them to. Like I know NA skies, um, or skies even when I was visiting New Zealand, the skies are so clear you could see, on like a normal night you could see so many stars up there. But sadly in Malaysia we don't really get that kind of view. Like we're lucky if we can see about like 4 or 5 stars maybe. And but even then, like I have this telescope at home, and it's not like a crazy big telescope, but um, it's one of those beginner level telescopes. And recently, I used it to look at the moon, and it's I don't know, it's this feeling you get when you actually see it, like the surface of the moon. I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like everyone should have at least some interest in looking up above us because I don't know, it's really beautiful up there. Yeah.
Is Abid
I
just
mean,
not looking at the sky day?
nah, bro, dude. Dude. I actually
Go
look
ahead,
to
man.
the sky way more than I probably should. Um, I mean, as we'll probably get into, there's so many philosophical ties to the sky and the unknown of the sky, right? And I feel like to me, the sky both offers, limitlessness to me in a sense. Like it's just like, oh shit, this thing kind of just keeps going. And it also offers me comfort to some extent. I don't know the blue, especially after moving to Canada. I think the blue skies here, like and the cotton candy clouds, dude. pretty hard to beat. And I feel like well, as evidence, Aaron looks out into the sky too. So I mean, I'm pretty sure everyone does. If you aren't looking at the sky, damn, bro.
You must be busy or what, dude? I don't
How many
know.
vitamin D pills you popping is the real question, dude.
That's actually very insightful though, because I don't look at the sky as much as I'd like to, right? Like I would
That's
expect the
fair.
answer to be, yeah, I expected the answers to be kind of no, but I mean,
Wait,
no, that's
really?
honestly not only insightful, but it's really good in a sense, right?
Mm,
Since it does make you wonder a lot, right? Looking to the sky, because there's, unlike a lot of things, there isn't a set boundary to the sky itself. And what Abid alluded to was that mystique that the sky brings. And I feel like that contributes to its beauty and its appeal, right? Because it's such a blank canvas of literally stuff that people can imagine on, people can wonder on. That's what makes it such a unique item, not only to gaze at, but to use as a concept itself. So, what else adds to this beauty? What else adds to this appeal? Because when you think about it, right, of all the things in the sky, literally the moon is the only tangible item that you can, like, see. Because the stars itself, the reason why you can see them in such clarity is that there are a lot of them. You can't really make
Mm,
out an individual star unless you have a telescope, as Aaron said. And I think
North Star.
that's what we're going to. That's where we're going to right now with the the topic of having like amateur astronomy. But for a regular person who looks up to the sky, like other than the mystique, what adds to the beauty?
Abid, would you like to go first?
yeah, sure. I mean, well, the one of the easiest ones for me is well the wildlife you can potentially see. I think birds flying itself,
Mm.
that's the one thing. Most people probably won't think about it, dude. But like to me, it's fascinating that there are creatures that are literally like just going around in the sky pooping on you. And dude, like honestly though, like I mean that's kind of crazy, right? Like that there are beings that can do that. Um, I it's it's fascinating because they're again I speak mostly for the philosophical side where I'm like or like the the dreamy side where I'm like oh the sky is just it's I don't know it's just nice but there are a lot of scientific stuff to it. You can look at
The Scud?
sun the sun and I mean as I was alluding to the sun is a necessary um part of the solar system for us to survive, right? We need the sun for our environment and the ecosystem to be functioning. I think, and where is the sun? Hey, look up in the sky. Oh, there it is. Even though it's not right there. Um, I think that is a complicated question because I feel like to individuals it will be different. But fundamentally, I feel it. The one thing that connects every human is the fact that we all look up and we see the sky. And that's what I kind of always thought about it as. It's some form of unity, I guess, in something that isn't like finite, I guess.
Damn, that's deep.
Yeah, man, philosophical, bro.
Wow.
I told you, bro.
Abid,
The
Abid,
sky.
Abid,
Scan.
Abid goes deep, dude. Let this be known. Um,
Yeah, bro, scan.
but yeah, I think that's actually a really beautiful idea. The fact that it brings forth a sense of unity. I've never really thought about it like that. I think that's very nice. Um, for me, I guess what's really captivating about the sky is just the sheer vastness of it, and the night sky, especially like the sheer unknown. It feels so like outer. I was gonna say outer worldly because it is, but
It is scan.
um, but it's just so. It's like it's not within the constraints of like the reality that I'm within, if that makes sense. Like the reality I'm within is like I wake up, I have to do this, I have to do that. I have to go do uni work, I have to, do chores, like, whatever the case is. It's all in this kind of bubble. And everything that's out there is so, so almost part of my imagination that it's like out of there. And when I look at the sky, I think about like all the possibilities, everything that's out there. And I also think about like, wow, this is also a part of, like that is also a part of this reality. And it's just something I've never really thought about. But I don't know, it's just that idea I find so captivating and so fascinating. And at the same time, curiosity, when I look up what's that, I wonder where that star is located. I'm a bit of a nerd in that sense, but I like thinking about this kind of stuff. Or like if the moon, the surface of the moon, I'll be looking at it and be like, oh, that's crazy. I wonder, if that's where certain things have happened. But um, I I'm actually very interested to know why you don't look at the sky, Jude, since you said you don't look at it often. That's something I'm very curious about. Why wouldn't you be looking at the sky?
Well,
I think my assumption was that people's habits and people's day-to-day routines restrict them from, a sense of freedom in looking up, right? When
Mm-hmm.
you're so, when you're so, I don't want to say when you're so busy, right? Because you can be busy and look up at the sky. But when you're so focused on one thing, ooh, like that car, for example, when you're like focused on the things around you, and you're focused, actually, let me make this more clear. When you're focused on one thing, of course, that answers it. But even when you're not focused on a specific item and you're relaxing, for example, there are so many distractions around your environment that can make you forget about the sky in general, right? When I'm free, for example, like I would read or go take a walk, or I would, do my chores that I need to do. None of them really warrant like a moment where I have to like stop, pause, and think about stuff. And when you do that, that generally tends to lead to, you looking up, because that's the only way to, imagine in a sense, right? Like figuratively. That's
Hmm.
why I've mentioned that, I do want to do that more often.
Yeah.
I feel like that implies giving myself more me time in a sense as well, right? Like that means you know, it's a way to step back from the realities, as you said, and contemplate. I think contemplate is a succinct word to describe
Hmm.
that feeling of looking up and not only admiring but being immersed. And
Yeah.
I guess that's a good uh, question, Aaron, because it segues us to
Hmm.
two distinct topics with which you can discuss when we talk about the sky. Particularly the sun, the moon, the stars, the clouds are, generally defined. I don't know, are generally like categorized into two. And one field is astronomy, and one field is astrology. One pertains to the science of things outside the Earth. Another pertains to the philosophy that these objects influence our daily lives.
yes, sir.
Do you feel like
So.
this is a really really interesting dichotomy in a sense, right? Both are the same, pertain to the same fundamental building blocks in a sense, right? That's a synonym, but pertain to the same fundamentals, but imply different things. What do you guys think?
I firstly, I just want to say, um, interesting. Thank you for sharing your position. I think, yeah,
Okay.
no, because I don't know. It was really interesting to hear what you had to say. But and I think a lot of it's very sad. The way you explained it, it's kind of the sad truth of the situation as well, on how it's something that we don't do, even though, because we're distracted by certain things, and then we can talk about that later as well. But when it comes to astrology and astronomy, I think there's one similarity for both that connects me to both, and that would be curiosity. I think I'm invested in. Let's not say astronomy because we just had a long chat about how there's a big difference between astronomy and amateur astronomy. But I think what gets me, let's say, interested in the concept of both would be the curiosity. You mentioned both are sort of foundational and have implications on us, and I feel that's what's the most curious to me. Like, um, if this has implications on my life, if this is something important, then I should probably learn about it, or I should probably read up on it and understand a bit more about it. Um, Astronomy, from what I know, amateur astronomy, that's right, is more of like a curiosity, but not really a necessity at this current point. But astrology is more, I see it similarly to how I view like religion per se in my life, in the sense that if this is quote unquote supposed to have implications on me, then I should do my research, or I should understand it at least to make my own opinion of it, you know? So, yeah, a bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna hard piggyback off of Aaron on this because I mean we're kind of in the same place on both. Because you know there the dichotomy does exist between both, but fundamentally they're both sparked because of curiosity of the human mind, right? Um, People wanna know or make sense of what's in the future or why certain things happen to them. Um, the unexplainable, you know. People want reasons, and astrology can somehow provide that in senses, right? And
Mhm.
people also want to explore and understand what's around them more, right? Like, hey, we're a tiny speck in this big ass universe, um, and there's other planets and stuff that are bigger, that are smaller, that are gases, like etc. etc. I think curiosity fuels both sides. I do agree with that. I think I stand with Aaron in that astrology. Well, okay. As prefaced, I am very heavily invested in. Um, and I've been invested in for a long time. And I think my take on religion is like similar to Aaron's, where it's like if there are implications to me, I should learn about it or know about it and perceive it and understand it through my lens. Um, so astrology is neither here or there. It depends. There's a lot of issues and stuff, but I am quite the philosopher, as my mom has called me so many countless times to insult me. Um, no offense to any philosophers out there. Uh, but yeah, I mean I stand pretty much the same. That's kind of all I'm saying. I'm
Mhm.
literally, I agree with you. Like,
Thank you.
yes, astrology is very much like religion. It's more about spirituality and
Hmm.
connecting on that front, while as astronomy is trying to make sense of things in a more scientific manner. That is, just numbers and what is that, how is that, who is that, why is that, what, where,
Yeah.
why, who, when. Yeah.
I mean, you guys hit the nail on the head when explaining about astrology to someone who's not familiar with astrology, or is probably not convinced by the concept itself, because it's not science. But then again, you could also say the same thing with religion, right? Controversially, you don't want to do that. But I feel like astrology takes a lot of flack because for those who are skepticisms, for those who do harbor skepticisms of astrology, like the first question, right, they ask is astrology real? Now, for someone who does not practice, like I don't necessarily practice like reading astrology and such, but even I kind of get not triggered, but I do get kind of jittered by that kind of question because you're answering the wrong question. Uh, As Aaron and Abid mentioned, like astrology concerns the philosophy that you know, outward outwardly beings influence you in your daily life, and if that influence is perceptible to them, right, it gives them a sort of credible evidence to what they do, then I feel like that's the essence as to why people would follow astrology in the first place, right? And
Hmm.
that kind of trail of thought follows with religion, and that's why it's a philosophy, right? And it's not to say if it's not science, it's wrong, because at the end of the day, I shared this interesting article I read on Scientific American back in not back in college. I am in college, but it's called the delusion of scientific omniscience. The delusion of scientific omniscience, and what this paper explains is that scientists have always been trying to find, the theory of everything, right? Like one theory that can mold everything that we know into one explainable fact. It's kind of odd to me, right? Because the moment you can science everything, you don't only lose the freedom of, like conscience or individuality, because what science implies that you can predict everything, right? In a sense,
Mm.
but you become kind of crazy in a sense. I know this is a quote from one of the scientists. Like, if you know everything, you do become crazy, just by the fact, because you've run out of things to imagine. You've run out of things to fantasize, to dream. And why I'm saying all this is because it relates back to our topic of the sky, and moon, and stars. It's such a blank canvas, and those two fields that pertain to these, the stars, moon, sky, like astronomy and astrology, are such good parallels to why people are so invested in them, in a sense, right? One is the realistic sense of, oh, I am very curious in these scientific matters regarding to things that we can't see from far, right? Like black holes or red giants, for example. But the other side is also the mystique of it, that science tends to disprove, but should never be in science's domain in the first place. And I guess your opinions, guys, are kind of give credibility to that, right? Like, you didn't say that astrology was, astrology means the sun gonna whack the earth, because clearly that's not what it's clearly that's not what it's meant to explain.
That would be wild. I'd subscribe
Can
to
ima-
that, dude. Hey, whatever that is.
The sun just
those-
bitch slaps the earth.
Yeah,
What?
I wanna read that weekly, just like the sun's about to smack the earth in the back, dude. Just like, I say word.
But
But,
you raise a
yeah.
really interesting point, Jude. I just want to say, regarding the fact that a lot of the people's, I won't say obsession, but a lot of the reason why people are so motivated to stargaze, or even when it comes to things that are the unknown, is because it's the unknown. There's a level of mysticism that comes with not knowing what's out there. And sadly enough, I think if we start to discover reasons and scientific explanations for everything eventually, or one day, if ever a possibility, will that reduce like how fascinated we are with the outside, with like space, or with what's up there? I think that's an interesting thing to think about, but there's no definite answer, because we haven't we're nowhere close, right? So
You do raise a good point, though, because
Mhm.
I feel like the ancients before us, right, the Greeks and the Romans, they literally use the sky as their daily tool for life. Like, it's a compass for them, in a sense, right? When you're
Yeah.
doing the harvest, for example, you look at the sky. When you're doing your rituals, you do these processes in the midst of the sky. So I think that's already the evidence of, the more we understand scientifically what's going on around us, the more we forget that, the beauty of stuff above us in the first place, right?
Yeah. Dude, imagine how much fun they would have been having when they looked at the moon and they were like, what the fuck is that, dude? Now we look at the moon and we're like, oh, it should be there. Nothing's changed. Like, dude, they must have been having so much fucking fun. Now we're just...
Why is there a big ass circle in the sky?
They're like, holy shit, it lights up? What?
Dude, dude, no, I mean, they wouldn't even know it lights up, dude. They'd just be like, what is that? What is that big ball, dude? And then the next day, where's the big ball? Why is it a crescent?
Where'd it go? Who stole it? Who stole it?
Why is half of it covered, guys? What the fuck?
Meanwhile, dude, we see the moon, we're just like, hey, why is it not full today? I want to take photo.
Why not full, bro? I want photo.
I want photo for the Instagram.
Oh my gosh, that does sound like today's culture, no?
Sadly.
Dude, I've done it too many times.
There is a fact, though, because can you imagine if let's imagine all three of us are like back in ancient Greece, right? Like, and they tell you stories like, oh, when the sun rises, that's because the god Helios is coming up in his chariot, and you're like, whoa, that's
Bro,
so
I'd
cool.
be like, yo, that's sick.
You think, right? And then
Dude, I
what's
would
the
be
story? I don't know. I'm
scared.
not into Greek mythology as much, but like when it's winter, the sun goes away, because like Hades stole one of the harvest god's daughters. Can you imagine being like a person at that time and be like, yo, yeah, man, this god damn, man.
Yeah, man, screw Hades, man.
Dude, everything must have been so interesting back then, dude. Imagine just like, I don't know, you just do something and if something changes,
Did
you're like,
you
wait,
hear?
what?
Dude, can you imagine gossiping about the gods? Did you hear what Aphrodite did with this?
Yeah,
Uh,
Look at you. You know what Aphrodite did to Apollo? Oh my god.
but honestly, though, to bring it back to point, like Aaron raised a good point there in the sense that imagination tends to become lost, and I guess the current world focuses so much on the scientific aspect of it that the imagination part of it still is relevant. I feel right,
mhm, for
considering a
sure.
lot of people hold, you know, hold not rituals, but like they're still relevant. It's still relevant to a lot of daily lives in a sense.
Yeah, I think some people would opt to disagree in the sense that they feel that there's a beauty in understanding and knowing the true reality of certain things. There's always going to be two sides of it, but I think there's a common perspective that once something is explained, like the true scientific reality is not as interesting as what your imagination can make it out to be. But for some people, that may not be the case. So
I think though, making something explainable in a fact does not mean you negate the mystique of something that shouldn't be explained thoroughly in the first place, right? Like
I
it's
agree.
really difficult to forever say, one day science is going to explain why the position of the sun. I'm making this up. This is not astrology. Please don't bark at me if this is not realistic. But the position of the sun. Oh my God,
It's
the
kind.
position of the sun is
The
why
stun.
the position of the sun is why today, my blood pressure is rising to 200 degrees. I'm making numbers up, but you know what I mean, right? Like science will never tell you that because
Yeah, yeah.
it just it's off the realm in a sense, right? But to perceptions for people and individual perceptions, yeah, that might have an effect. I guess same
You
goes
never
for
know.
religion. I think this podcast merges a lot of things, but then again, the sky is such a blank canvas, and I guess that's the point. You can talk a lot about the sky, even if you strip off the basics. Oh, look, it's a star. They can see
The
Mufasa.
scud, the
Star.
scar. Please don't bark at Jude for his hypotheticals. Thank you.
I know, dude. But we talked about the significance of all this, the stars, the moon in cultures and traditions. You know how funny it is though that whenever we see a celebrity, we call them a star. I don't think that's a
Mm,
coincidence, no?
I don't think so either. It's pretty
Yeah,
self-explanatory, I guess. The title, shine bright
why? Because
like a
they shine.
diamond. Oh, sorry, like a
Yeah,
star.
shines brightly like a star. What? Twinkles like a star, dude.
Shines brightly like star.
It twinkles like the little star, dude.
We have regressed to the caveman period we're talking about.
Yeah.
But
But
like,
I
what
think it's
what do you
pretty
mean by
self.
twinkle though? I guess you guys can better explain the both of you. I maybe I don't follow enough celebrities to be like, oh, that's a star. You know, like I feel like it's natural to call someone a star if they're But what does it mean to shine bright? What does it mean to
I mean,
it, it's an interesting concept.
it's for sure. I mean, it's. I think people or celebrities are called stars because people, everyone could see stars or look at the stars, and it's like, oh, the stars are like gems of the sky in a sense, right? They're like everyone considers them to be something super beautiful, something precious, um, something meaningful, I guess. And that's often what celebrities become or public figures become. They have their own personas and their own vibes, whether that's just them looking good physically or them doing a lot of charity work or this and that, etc., etc. Um, I think just I think the allure of a star is partly why celebrities are called stars. I also think it's because of the fame level, Um, because if you're famous and if you're famous enough to be called a star, uh, it just means your fame levels are super high. Like the sky's the limit type of fame. Like Brad Pitt, dude. Everyone knows Brad Pitt, dude. It's like Angelina Jolie, George Clooney, these people, like, they're stars because their fame has caught up to them. And what are they famous for? Well, Brad Pitt famously for 2 divorces, but besides that, he's a great actor. And uh, you know, it is interesting, but it is also complicated to define that, to be honest. But I think their overall fame levels and um that, you know, pedestal that people put them on, and so I mean people put the stars on a pedestal too, with how much meaning they put behind it. The way you can gift a star, right, and put
Uh-huh.
name a star, whatever. It's interesting. How about you, Aaron?
Yeah, I mean, I think you defined it pretty thoroughly. I guess when the first thing that came to mind when uh, the first thing that comes to mind when I think of the purpose of calling a celebrity a star is on the topic of astronomy and like looking up at the sky. There are you said yourself billions, if not more, stars in the sky, but in reality, when we look up, we can only see a small fraction of them. A small fraction of them shine bright enough for us to see. And I think that's kind of reflective of, humanity in a sense, where there's so many people, there are billions of people, but only a small fraction of them shine bright enough for anyone to see, no matter where they are. And in a similar sense, these celebrities, these people around the world that have garnered enough fame, enough reputation, and enough 2020 clout, right? That people, you see them, you see them whether you're involved in their life, you see them whether you're proximity wise close to them. They shine bright. They shine brightly, essentially, which is why I guess this kind of whole calling celebrities and people that were famous stars, movie stars, Hollywood stars, TikTok stars, like whatever the case is, it's just a kind of play on words to show that they are kind of in the limelight, or they're kind of up there for everyone to see. So yeah.
I asked this question thinking it was a basic question, right? But I think the both of you raised really interesting facts. I'll reiterate. You said stars, celebrity-wise, were called stars because of their high position. Think about it. Literally, their high position, and the stars are
Yeah.
in a high position as well. But also, people look up to them, and that's the same thing you do for stars. And Aaron also mentioned that you see stars regardless if you want to or not. Like they're there in the night sky, and all you literally have to do is look up. They'll be there in that canvas that you see every day, every night. And that's the same with celebrities. You tend to hear about them, you tend to see them in the light, regardless of whether you're interested in the stories or not. And I'd like to add one more definition to this synonymity between stars and celebrities. Is that celebrities normally looked up upon, not only literally, but like as inspirational figures, right? I mean, you could think about celebrities in terms of Hollywood, but think about celebrities in sports as well, right? And sports and arts and drama, like they all, if you have a favorite celebrity, one that you really look up to and aspire to be, if you're, for example, if you're growing in that field and you want to look up to someone, um, that same concept, weirdly enough, it's harder to directly translate, but looking up to the stars itself is a kind of inspiration. It might be a personal interaction between you and whatever you're imagining, but it exists. At least it does for me. And I guess this is where that boundary starts to dilute itself, right? This is where you get into the imaginative aspect of looking up to the sky and thinking about your own thoughts. Because it's really difficult to not scientifically, it's really difficult to justify, oh, are you sure? Celebrities are inspiration, therefore you don't look up to a star and say, oh, I'm inspired by you, my nice Beetlejuice. You don't look at it, but you think about it more subtly. Think about it personally. Over time, people do have this similar synonymity in that sense, right?
Yeah.
Like
I
being
like
more
I
together
like
is
how
like,
your example was basically like building a parasocial relationship with like a celestial object, dude. It's like I admire
well,
you.
Dude,
Yeah.
but did you know that it manifested? I don't know. Was it Phineas and Ferb, right? Like you buy your own star. And you can, damn, dude.
Which episode?
They had an episode.
I don't think I watched that one.
Oh, I think there was one like where Candace. Anyway, but yeah, that's literally a manifestation of having your own star. I mean,
Yeah.
calling your loved one "you're my star" as well is a pretty common phrase, right, in today's world. It could mean a lot
I've
of
actually
things, right?
never heard that like outside of a movie context. I don't
Oh,
know
really?
anyone that. It seems like one of those very and it's a bit off topic, but it seems like one of those very Hollywood like dramatized things that you wouldn't necessarily actually say to someone, but
True,
that's like
true.
the ideal, when it comes to movies, it's like the ideal romance. Like, I don't think it's, dude, call someone your star. What the fuck? Hello? What? I don't
Maybe you
know. It's
could
so
say
weird.
if you want to go to the scientific terms, oh, you're my star because you're fucking hot,
Dude,
dude.
it's like I call you my star. I mean, dude, that implies that you're like what? How many kilometers away from me, dude?
Yo, that exactly right. Hey, you're my star because you're always far away from me.
Because I
Damn.
watch you from afar. Like what? It's fucking.
I
It's
only
fucked up.
call them you only call them the sun, bro, because they brighten up your day, bro.
Like that, lah.
Because
Like, I've been
because you
sorry.
disappear at night,
You
dude.
guys
I've been
are
clearly in
yo.
this everyday
ATS is
conversation.
my sun, bro, because you guys brighten up my day, bro.
Yeah, we disappear at night, dude. Simple.
What you mean, bro?
Yo.
What do you mean? You're always there, bro. I am the moon. You guys keep me shining, bro.
Oh damn, bro.
God damn, bro. Yo, I
Damn,
can keep
bro.
going.
Yo,
Yo,
you trying to flirt?
Yo, aren't we all moons then? Because we all empty, dude.
Oh damn.
But-
Wait, what? Hold up.
Okay, anyway,
Slow down.
I'd like to talk about philosophy. I'd like to talk about philosophy, but I think this is a different philosophy.
Dude.
Like literally, yeah. But I mean, I think this conversation we've had in this podcast itself, it's what I expected, to be honest. Because the fact that although we could talk about fundamentally what are stars, what are moons, what are planets, like we chose not to go there because you could learn about that in everyday life, right? The scientific and the cultural implications of the star as a culture symbol, the moon as a culture symbol. But really stepping back and thinking about that canvas itself and the implications for different parts of our life, and we've talked about it, right? Like the imaginative versus the scientific implications, for example, and the synonyms in cultural, um, you know, cultural synonyms in a sense, right? Like with celebrities and such, really makes you, I don't know, it makes me feel a bit insignificant, right? Like in a sense, right? Because all this was just by conversation, looking up to the star, looking up to the sky. Very inconclusive, but I appreciate that inclusivity in a sense.
For sure.
I guess that's a good way to summarize this entire podcast. So if you slept for 40 minutes and you woke up,
Hey, good
I
morning,
guess
good
there's
morning.
your good morning, good evening to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good morning, good evening. Scorpios ain't shit.
Whoa.
Anyway,
Actually, you know what?
JK,
There's still
I
one
hope
more thing to
Scorpios
talk about. That's a
don't
good thing to point out, Abid. That's actually a beautiful thing to point out, dude. Not
that
Scorpio,
Scorpios
but
ain't shit.
Scorpios
Yeah,
and
you're
shit.
right, dude. That is beautiful. True.
constellations. Because you don't see constellations, huh? I think, yeah, that's one thing I learned, dude. But you have to make figures out of the stars if you can see them.
I've never seen a constellation in my life, dude. I
No,
have
but
not.
isn't that interesting, dude? Like, I don't know. How all of a sudden you see 5 stars and it become a horseman, dude?
Yeah.
Like, literally doesn't exist. Like, it literally doesn't.
Yes,
A horseman.
must be Chiron, dude.
I think the common criticism for like constellations, and it kind of loops back to everything that is quote unquote unknown, is that people are making like something out of nothing, which I can kind of see it with constellations. Like, dude, like there's 4 stars and suddenly there's a guy holding a bow. Like, hello, where did the bow come from? Like what is
Hey,
how is
yo,
that the
it's
first thing that
actually
came to your mind?
dude. Oh, sorry, that's league reference.
That's
Okay.
league reference, dude. Come on, man. No inside jokes, dude.
Don't say joke.
Sure? Oh wait, I don't play that game. What's that? What's the name?
Yeah. Jason plays that game, I think. But
Yeah, I think so too.
but yeah, I think a lot of people say it's making something out of nothing, but I think similarly to what you were saying earlier, Jude. and what people need to realize is you need to make sense of it for yourself and what it means to you. Like the implications it has on you, you control that, and what it means to you. If it doesn't mean anything to you, then move on, right? But if it means something to you, then that's how it is. No one should tell you otherwise. So like for me, when I look at like some of these constellations, like the pictures, like if you remove the lines, I couldn't fucking make sense of what I'm looking at. But when you add the lines, it's like apparently obvious. But I've never really seen a constellation in person, so I couldn't really say. But yeah. Love it.
I mean, those are all interesting insights that we've talked about. You know, I've learned stuff as well doing this entire episode, in a sense. But yeah, I guess we've tried to explain the beauty of the sky itself, but I guess our episode itself is a good summarization of that particular beauty. There's a lot to talk about, and well, we're glad all our podcast listeners are listening. I hope you still made sense of what we talked about, because it was really diverse, and I think that's the intention we try to put out with this episode. We can always focus on the specific parts of the sky on other episodes or on other platforms, but it was a good exercise to step back and wonder about the general picture. But with that, one thing that made me remind of stars, darkness, universe, in a sense, was when you turned on the PlayStation 2, right? Like, is it PlayStation? It was PlayStation 2. And then all of a sudden there's this sound. Boom, boom,
yeah.
And then there's like this
and the
white,
PlayStation thing comes on? Yeah.
motion. That's the sound that I can imagine, right? Like it's weird as a child. I think it's also because back at like 11 p.m. I used to sneak in the room and it was like nighttime, and then the lights are off, and then I turn on the PS2, and then you see those like, oh, that must be a star. But with that, this leads us to our question of the week. What is your all-time favorite video game console, or handheld game console?
Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance Color.
That's great.
Handheld or console?
Both.
Oh,
Both.
handheld
Game Boy
and
Advance.
console?
Handheld and console.
Wait, so we pick one either out of both?
No,
one handheld and
one
then we pick one console. Like just.
we can do that too. But I originally intended one from the entire category.
Oh. I mean, if we're
because
picking
handheld consoles are different from consoles.
Yeah.
You know what? Let's do handhelds and consoles. That's a good idea.
Ah, shit. Okay.
Sorry,
okay.
bro. I did not.
Okay.
I only had one PSP and one PS2, dude. So
Ooh,
the
handheld is pretty. Yeah,
Game Boy Advance. Game Boy Advance.
Yeah.
The amount of Pokemon I played in that
GBA was
shit.
my
Dude.
life,
Yes,
dude.
sir. Yes, sir. Console of it? What was yours?
For me, honestly, the PS4 was really good, or the PS2. Like, PS2 is iconic, dude. It's hard to beat.
Yeah.
I have too many memories on that. But the PS4 also is.
I would say PS2 as well, but not necessarily because the console itself was like, of course it's there's constraints because of the time it, came out in, but it's more the nostalgia that comes with it. The amount of games, dude. I used to play so much Ratchet and Clank.
The amount of games that came out on that console.
Yeah, dude.
PS2, right?
So many nostalgic games: Final Fantasy, Ratchet and Clank, Monster Hunter.
Side-scrolling Naruto fighting thing.
Oh, Ultimate Ninja.
Ultimate Ninja, dude.
Damn, that's wild, dude. I say I have the same answers, but I think my handheld is different. It's the PSP, only because I was weird as a kid, huh? I didn't have any Nintendo systems ever. Like I only got into like Pokemon late.
Huh.
I didn't even play Pokemon as a full game. It's kind of good. I do look back. I'm like, would my childhood be different? But no, I mean PS2 and PSP for me, because they both introduced me to the series that I still affiliate myself with as my favorite. Final Fantasy, dude, there's nothing beats. You play Crisis Core Final Fantasy 7. Ooh, yes, the graphics.
Yes, dude.
For those who know, yes, very good. Bagus, but yes. Anyway, let's switch straight to our song of the week. From Stars. That was bad. Anyway,
you want to go first, Jude?
That
was pretty bad.
First. Yeah, that was pretty bad. Abid, would you like to go first?
Agreed.
I forgot my song. Damn, dude. Anybody?
I'll go first. So
go ahead,
for
Abid.
me,
Thank you.
it's called Beautiful by Ash Island. featuring Skinny Brown, Ash Allen, up and coming Korean rapper. It's pretty established already, but banger, dude, banger.
Banger, certified banger.
Certified
I
banger.
would say I wanna leave the door open by Bruno Mars and Anderson .Paak.
Oh,
Yes, that song is classy.
Silk, what?
Silk,
Silk
Silk Sonic.
Silk Sonic.
Silk Sonic. Yeah,
yes.
I think it's a. I'm really excited to hear the rest of the collab.
I'll chill song. I mean, my song is the Beatles. Interesting one. It's called Blackbird.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, it's a very good. It's a very good. What do you call it? Symbolism of something. Of a lot of things, actually. Like I could explain with a podcast, but we don't have time for that because it's time to close our episode. Thank you to our listeners once again for tuning in to the 9th ATSCast.
Yes, sir.
Bye, everyone.
Ciao, ciao.
Jason, hit him
Like
with
how we
the
have-
music.